Hey, 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 welcome. Yes, ladies, how are you doing?
Good.
Welcome,
Doing
audience.
well,
We have our first inaugural 2 Cent Tuesdays with Nakeisha and Shavonti. Yes. With our special guest, Stacie McClam. Yes.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everyone. All right, Shavonti, would you like to take the honor of explaining what 2 Cent Tuesdays is? So, you can go ahead and do all that. So, we can put
Yes. So 2 Cent Tuesday is a new production that myself and Nakeisha is going to be doing every Tuesday at 6:30. Now, this is new for both of us. So this first month, we're going to get into the good side and the dark side of teaching. Our first guest, who's going to be introduced shortly, is going to talk a little bit about what she does, why she started doing it, and what made her leave. So, for all my educators, for teachers, for parents who want to know, what's really going on in the classroom, this 2 Cent Tuesdays is going to be for you. You don't want to miss it.
Yes. And I see we already have people that are watching. Hi, Taylor Brown. Hey, hey. And so what we want to be as interactive as possible because we want this to be really talking through what we're going through. And so you guys, please type in your comments. Just say, hey, let us know you're here. Share it to your Facebook page. Share it out. Do a watch party so we can have more viewers. So with further ado, let's introduce our guest. Yes, Miss Stacie McClam. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Now, we got to hear a little bit about your bio because you are like done everything. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Stacie McClam, and I'm an educator. I'm an author, a filmmaker, and I host a show called Teacher Talks on Tribe Family Channel every other Monday.
Ooh.
All right. So I just put that up there. So I want everyone to see that because I've worked hard to put that there. So once again, she's an educator, author, filmmaker, and a radio show host of Teacher Talks on Tribe Family Channel. So we're gonna make sure we tune in. Is there a particular time that you do your broadcast, your radio show? Please let us know.
Yes, it's at 5:00 p.m. Pacific time, 8:00 Eastern.
All right. Now, where are you located? Because I noticed you put the specific time before. So tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so I'm in Los Angeles. I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised. Yep, I've been back about 4 years. So, yeah.
Of course. No wonder you're a filmmaker. You're in LA.
Yes.
I think
Shavonti, the stars are born.
Wait, Shavonti, we should have went and had the interview there.
We should
next
have.
time we're gonna go there and have the interview in person. Yes.
That's
So
fine.
welcome, guests. We have a lot of people joining us. We have Antoine Weaver says, "Hey, Shavonti," and then Kyler has the hands. So we're like we said, we want to talk about this month of October is all about the dark side of teaching. And so we all have some education background as being educators always, but we want to go through some questions. So we know to be a great educator, you usually had a great experience in school. So some of our questions are going to like our own experience and then where we are now and how we think that the educational system can be reformed somewhat. So, we're giving our 2 cents. Get it? 2 cents. Yes. All right. So our first question, ladies, let me go to it. Okay. Is personal experience as a student. So as a student growing up, and especially like elementary, middle school, and then high school, how were you as a student? Did you love school? Was it fun for you? And is that the reason why you really wanted to get into education? Or, some people have different experiences where they didn't have such supporting teachers. And so then they want to become that supportive teacher. So, of course, we're going to start with you, Mr. Clem, because, you are a special guest. So go ahead.
Well, I did not necessarily have a good experience in school. I was always bused. So from first grade, my entire school career, I was bused outside of my neighborhood, which is an all-Black neighborhood. And it's a middle-class neighborhood, so you would have thought the schools would have been good, but they weren't. So my aunt was a teacher, and she told my mom about magnet programs. Out here, they're called magnet programs, gifted programs And
yeah,
so
we have those here as well in Florida and Indiana. So
okay, you guys call them the same thing? I wasn't
yeah.
sure.
Oh, and Georgia too. Georgia
Okay.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's
Cool. So I was always busing. It was always in the back of my mind. Why do I have to take a bus early in the morning to go to a school in another, in another neighborhood? It didn't make sense to me. As a little girl, it just stuck with me for a long time. And I had a good elementary experience, even though there was only one of 4 Black students at that school in my class, actually. But I noticed in middle school a lot of tracking, and I noticed I wasn't well, in elementary I was praised and they put me in the leadership team because it was a math science magnet. They had mathematicians come, we were learning, I was having a great time. My parents always
put yourself now on that pedestal.
Right. But in middle school things changed where I was still in the magnet program, but I noticed tracking. So most of the students, all the students who took the bus with me were Black. And then when we got to school, it was mostly white and Asian students in the higher track classes and Blacks and Latinos in the lower track classes. So again, I'm like, that's odd. And then high school, same thing. I had a counselor who discouraged me, who left a message on my answering machine at home telling me not to apply to certain schools.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't get into AP classes. So my mom went to the school, even though I had—
It happens a lot. Yes.
And even with parents who advocate for their kids and go up to the school and, are professional and polite about it, they wouldn't let me in the AP class because they said you needed a 10th grade English teacher's recommendation. And I didn't have one. And so in high school, in the magnet, they still had 3 tracks. They had AP, honors advanced, and advanced or honors. So it's just tracking all over the place. How to tracking kids from the very beginning. And since both of you are STEM, you know that, a lot of our students don't have access to those STEM classes.
Exactly.
So this always frustrated me. My grandmother was a teacher in segregated Virginia. And so I grew up always putting teachers on a pedestal. So I wanted to become a teacher to kind of correct the experience that I had, the negative negativity that I received at school, not at home, but at school, to help other students. That was the original plan. And, to be like my grandmother. And then
that's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yes. All right. Well, and something you touched on is the magnet programs and then being tracked. And it's a shame that especially African-American students, as if they get on that other track, then it's like it's very hard for them to get over into like the STEM programs and the IB programs and different things, unless they have a true advocate at their school. And so that's why we're bringing this attention to teaching and having this segment on 2 Cent Tuesdays to talk to parents and educators about the education system, because they really need to have a lot of mentors and advocates to go into these schools and advocate for these students, because I've witnessed that too. And so we'll talk about that in my teaching experience. But Shavonti, let's talk about you as a student. You're so quirky and perky and love school, and so I want to hear how was your experience.
So my experience was exactly who you see today. Bubbly, excited, like I was in SGA. I was in every single thing that the school could possibly have. And I didn't grow up with siblings. Like I have siblings, but we weren't raised in the same house. So, my friends became my siblings. My cheerleading friends, like we became, thick as thieves, and we were into everything. And I think when teachers saw, that you were so involved and that your grades were good, that's how I started learning about the STEM track at my high school. I didn't even know, track. I didn't even know that it existed. But I had one teacher, Mrs. Hink, who reached out to me, and she was like, you're doing this, you're doing that. I really think that you should, explore maybe teaching math one day. I was like, I'm not going to be a teacher. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to teach these bad kids. That was my persona. And that was maybe 16, 17 years old. So long story short, I had another teacher, Mr. Gardner, play a video about engineering. And so he played these solar farms and wind farms. And I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. It was, and him and I, we didn't have the best of relationships because I was always correcting his math mistakes. I was that student in class. Like, that's good too. You should, you know.
Wait, hold on, Shavonti. I gotta hold on, let me hide your as a teacher, as an educator, no, we hate no, we but it's like, okay, let me get to the problem. Thank you, Shavonti. But I bet she's like, ooh.
That was me. I would barely let him finish it, and I would be like, that's not right. That's not right. So me and him, we had like a love-hate relationship. At one point, he even said, you should get up and teach the class. And I did. So so I was that student. But like I said, at home, they definitely encourage education. At school, I had such a positive experience. I had my teachers literally like lifted me up. I was in a relationship, you know, boyfriend girlfriend relationship, and it had started to get, I don't want to use the word violent, but it had started to get a little awkward. I'll use the word awkward. And my teachers would see this stuff and they would step in and correct the action. So my teachers from elementary school, middle school, high school, they've always lifted me up. They've always motivated me. And I never got to see, you know, when I wanted to take AP classes, it was, okay, yep, you can take it. You know, I've never had a teacher kind of put a roadblock in front of me of getting to the next place. So I have a very, very, very positive school experience. So I'm curious to know, Nakeisha, how was your experience? And now that you're a teacher, like, how did that work out?
Yes. Well, I was like you, only child. And so I couldn't wait to get to school. Oh my God. Hey friends, I'm here. I'm here. And so I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to 6th grade. And one of my best friends, hey girl, Denae Morgan. Well, I'm sorry, Williams now. Oh God, we were so super smart. But and McKenya Dilworth, I never forget, we were so super smart, but we talked all the time. It was to the point where, you know, we were always getting called. My parents were getting called because not that we wasn't getting straight A's, because we were raced doing our little math stuff and we're trying to be the first ones, but we kept talking. And so that's because they don't understand. I didn't have any real friends at home. And so I got started talking to my dials and different things. And so, so I left my elementary school, which was Catholic school, and I went to my first public school, which was Pulaski Middle School in Gary, Indiana. Woo. So you talking about culture shock, because I went from I went from, you know, Catholic school uniforms to, hey, I get to wear what I want to wear. I got all these friends. Hey, y'all. And but I had a really good time. I was number one. At our graduation, I got to say a speech. And then I went on to Gary Roosevelt, you know, where Michael Jackson was, you know, first performed and all that good stuff. But I was salutatorian. I love school. I was one of those students that like would really just show up and just be like, hey, y'all, like I loved it. I was school president. I mean, I was
We're so much alike. It's ridiculous.
Yes. I love school. But the problem happened was, once again, like you said, I got involved with a young man, and then right after high school, I got pregnant. But I did go off to college and graduate. So hey, but it happens. But I just had a great personal experience as a student. So I love school. And so I went for engineering, electrical engineering in college. But then once I started having kids and got married, I went on to teaching. I was like, well, let me be a teacher. And so that led me to, you know, our next segment, which is our teaching experience and why did we become a teacher. So I'm going to save that for that. But I just want to say hi to all our guests. I see your comments, Taylor. We're going to get to your question. But guys, let us know, how was your personal experience as a student? Did you guys have good personal experiences? Did you, because that, you know, and I believe they say, and, you know, Stacie, you know, help me, that if you had a good personal experience as a student, then you kind of put on a positive light for your kids to have that same personal experience when they're in school. But if you had a bad person experience, you're the type of parent that's like real fearful and then not trusting of educators and different things. So by you not having such a good personal experience, how did you, like, how did that shape you? And then how did you want to become a teacher?
Great question.
Yeah, well, I did. I guess I still wanted to do the best for the kids, just morally deep down inside, because I knew how hurt I was from the system. And I didn't want other students to experience that. So that, and also combined with, like I said, my grandmother being a teacher and, my mom telling me when I was little how influential my grandmother was, just for the fact that she was a teacher, nothing more. But in her community in Portsmouth, Virginia, teachers were highly regarded. And so I just thought they were such change makers for the community and, just really put them on a pedestal. So that's what made me want to become a teacher. But I didn't let the negative experiences I had,
affect
you.
Right, because I still went into teaching gung-ho and excited, idealistic, unfortunately, but yeah.
I have a question. With those negative experiences that you had in high school, looking back on it, do you feel that it was experiences based off of race? Do you feel that it was experiences based off of the politics of teaching? Like, what do you feel those negative influences came from?
I actually think both. I think they're just systemic issues that people, like I said, just tracking. How does that even happen? So from elementary school, because I was in the gifted program, I guess somehow the counselors in middle school had my report card information or knew what school I had gone to. So I already had access to certain classes that other students didn't. We had, PSAT. We had algebra by the 8th grade.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, the rest of the school didn't have that. And so it's like a system to answer your questions. And so in that system, I guess, is race, like you said, is politics. So, yeah.
Wow.
And then I just want to say that Taylor Brown, I'm going to put it on screen. She said she had a wonderful school experience, very motivating and supportive village. And I think that is awesome. Yes. Like, even though we're talking about the dark side of teaching, there are, teachers that put their blood, sweat, and tears and soul into teaching. And we just want to make sure that we recognize them. I used to personally get upset when they would show movies like Dangerous Minds and all those where you had like the other race come in to school and they made such a good impact. And I said, well, what about the teachers that look like the students that's been there from day one? We don't make movies about those. We did kind of lean on me. But we know have been there 25, 30 years that are the unsung heroes of teaching. And so we want to bring light to, even though we're talking about that other side of teaching, we know if it wasn't that supportive and motivating village out there, a lot of us wouldn't have that. Into Stacie, I think on your end, because you didn't have, such a great experience, that motivated you even more. Because sometimes we want to be like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And so I can see that happening. So, yes. So I'm curious, Shavonti, you are a mechanical engineer, but then you thought about it and you went and got your teaching license. So what motivated you to do that? And then where do you see yourself going with that? Like, what do you want to do with that? And now you're going to pursue it, or how do you feel?
Good question. So I've been a mechanical engineer now, I think going on 6 years, and I absolutely love it. I love my job. I love what I'm doing. I love the fact that I'm able to design and create something, and then it comes to life in the field. So I'm a transmission line engineer. So at my previous job that I was at, I wasn't having the absolute best experience. And me and my husband were talking about maybe starting a family one day. And I was like, okay, well, with the kind of working hours that I was under, with the kind of pressure that I was under at work, I wasn't set up in a situation to start a family. And that's something that I, for so long, was putting on my company to fix. Oh, they won't allow me to have a kid. Oh, they're not making it easy for me to have a kid. And it's like, it's not the company's mission or plan to, you know, to work your life plan. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to give up engineering. I'm going to, you know, apply to be a teacher. So I pay all that money and applied to be a engineering teacher for grades 6 through 12 and a mathematics teacher in Orange County, grades 6 through 12. So in the midst of me applying for teaching, I also found out that I failed my engineering exam. And this was something that was like huge for me. So I was like, you know what? If I fail my engineering exam, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to, you know, quit this engineering thing. And I got accepted, you know, I got approved to start teaching. And I started reaching out to different people, different teachers, different educators. And y'all, I'm going to be honest with you, I was not getting the kind of support and the kind of positive vibes that I thought I would have, knowing that, you know, I have systematic motivation, which is, you know, in a sense, educating our youth, but it's not in a classroom. And they were like, you know, I think you should stick with that. I don't think you want to get in the classroom. It's too much politics. It's too much red tape. You know, you have the best set up, touching the lives how you're touching them, than going in the classroom and being dictated by someone else's rules. So that's kind of what stirred me away from it. And I left the old company and I'm with a new company now. So I'm much happier. And it's a remote position, so I can kind of move and shake how I want to. But yeah, it was definitely the influence of a lot of my teacher friends, a lot of my educator friends, and they were like, don't do it.
Well, that leads me to talk about my teaching experience. And I've been in it for 17 years. And so it's you know, it's ups and downs. And so I know Stacie, let me put this over here. I have to be the, you know, which we'll call. Stacie's talked about it as well. When I first got in it, it was great. I was doing this, I was doing that. Kids were happy. You know, it was just like, you love to be there because the students really wanted to learn. Now, as I've been in it, I'm like, it's like pulling teeth. And so that spark is kind of, you know, it's kind of going away. But like I do Sensation Saturdays and Sundays. And so I interviewed a couple of my former students, and they were on here and they were talking about how I inspired them and encouraged them and how
awesome.
Oh man, I want to cry. So you give back, so you know you're giving back and you know you're helping, but when it becomes such a toll on your personal, you know, you're coming home, you're upset, you're calling your husband saying, I don't know if I could do this. The other day I was breaking up fights in my classroom. It's like, where we're really going. And then like I had to stay after school to do all the paperwork. The police called me. They wanted me to come back up to the school. I said, no, I finally got home. I need to debrief. You know, so it's like it's becoming such a toll. At the beginning, teaching was great. And then Shavonti, I want to go back to what you said. Let me take this off of here. Sorry, y'all, I have to do production duties too. But what you said about I think what left me from going from engineering on into teaching is because that I knew I was starting to have a family. And like you say, I loved it. My sons went to the same middle school I taught at. So I was able to, you know, put my arms around them. We went through everything together. We had a great time. They closed the middle school. I went to the high school where they were at. And then I kind of went on the assistant principal and left kind of that school. But it was great. But right now, it hasn't been the best experience. So, and then I just want to let that segue into our next question, which is, Stacie, why did you leave teaching? And I know you have a whole book and you're doing some films on this. So this is where we're getting to the nitty gritty. So we just have to give our background so we can really talk about where we are now. So Stacie, let's go. Let's talk about it. Why? And the question is, why did you walk away from teaching?
Why?
And let me just preface this by saying I have a true respect for teachers. Trust me. That's right. Like I said, my grandmother was a teacher. My aunt was a teacher. My great aunt was a teacher. I just realized it was not for me anymore personally. So my last year, I wrote a book last summer called School Dismissed, Walking Away from Teaching. Here's a picture. It's on Amazon. And basically because just the stress of the job and kind of getting to a point where I was feeling hopeless in terms of just walking into a building and seeing the chaos every day, like, students fighting and just no order, and not specific to my personal classroom management skills, but where like
was this in LA?
Yes, but I had the same experience in Denver and in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Same.
You even said you taught in Japan. I remember that from your. You've been around the world and still walking around with teachers. She's like, been around the world. Walk away.
I tried. I needed a break after DC, so I was like, let me clear my head and go teach in Japan. Came back. Denver was, just the mental health issues with first grade, you would not believe. And each time after Denver, I was like, okay, let me try teaching in Kuwait. Let me clear my head. I can't go back to this. Then came back, came and taught in LA. And I guess I just got tired of it. And it's not like necessary, even where I've been at schools where the principal is good, there are just not enough resources to deal with many of the issues that the students have. So I had supportive co-teachers, well, not co-teachers, but other teachers in my grade level and at the school, but we were all going through the same thing, and nobody knew what to do. Like
when you say you guys didn't have, like, it was a good principal, but you didn't have enough resources. What kind of resources do you think, if they were in play, would have helped this situation if they were there?
Definitely mental health therapists.
And I was going to say that we just didn't have enough. And I'm going to record this thing too. Like I said, from when I first started teaching to now, I won't say that they didn't have as many mental health issues back then, but it seems like now it's so like, I don't know, it's so out there. Like, you have so many kids with so many issues. It's like almost every kid has an IEP, which is an individualized education plan, or some kid has some type of issue that you're dealing with, but we don't have the resources. But they expect
they're not in the special needs class?
No, they're in your regular classes. And they don't have
and some schools, the majority of the school is special needs. Where that population, because of the mental health issues, it's a lot. And if you don't, so for me, I'm elementary. I taught mostly first grade, and when you have 5 or more students at this level up here, and you're trying to help with the rest of the class, and you don't have a full-time paraprofessional to help you, because of resources, each teacher should have their own paraprofessional to help, but that's not how it is. And so you can't teach, basically. And so, most people would say, oh, I was a good teacher, but to me, I wasn't as effective as I know I could be. And I couldn't give the students what I wanted to, as much as I wanted to, because of the circumstances. So
behavioral circumstances, like did you find, I have one of my best friends as a teacher, and she says sometimes instead of teaching the class, she's disciplining. Or she's, teaching them a lesson, that turns into a story. So it's like, okay, that's good. That's a life lesson that they needed. But at the same time, they just missed out on the days of algebra.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or a class of algebra. So is that what you mean when you say you didn't have, you could teach these students, but you wouldn't be able to teach those? Is that what you meant?
Yes. Or you literally could not teach because you're dealing with fights or other things that just take a long time. So
a kid might be having a breakdown, or like they get frustrated with something and it goes overboard, and then you're trying to calm that kid down, and then you lose the attention of the other students. It's so much going on now. I don't know if kids are under more stress now, or is it just we're requiring so much for them to pass these standardized tests. Where it's like we're putting so much pressure on them, they're freaking out. And so like Stacie said, she's had experience from different parts of the world and different age groups. Myself, I've been in, urban schools, and then, suburban schools, and you still see some of the same characteristics. So it's the educational system. Like, what are we doing? And so that's where I want to talk about too. Like how, because we have some questions, and I want to go to some of the questions, but improving the educational system. So one of our questions, and let me go back, was from, hold on. Let's get to, hold on. It's Taylor Brown said, how can parents be better advocates for their children?
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one, yes.
That's a good one. How can parents be a better, now I'm not a parent, so that may be a better question for you, Nakeisha. I can give my opinion, if that's okay.
Right. Okay. Well,
okay.
Sure, I'll take it. All right.
Okay.
Just like today, what happened was I had given a project. We've been working on it since the end of August, and then they had 2 weeks to get the presentation together. And so when it came down to do the presentation, they were supposed to have it turned in on Friday. And these are my seniors' honors class. So today a boy came up to me and was like, well, I couldn't get the pictures on there. And I said, you're telling me this because of what? I said it was due Friday. You coming on Tuesday when it's the last day to present. So he got all upset, and he went stomping back to his chair and said, well, we didn't have enough time. I said, oh no, you have plenty of time. Stop making excuses.
Right.
And so I called and texted, emailed his mom, and I didn't realize that his mom was telling him to have me email him. So I talked to her on lunch, very supportive, and I'll just put it out here, African American mom, and she was like, oh no, we don't believe in that. He's a football player, but education comes first. And she was like, I knew he waited to the last minute, and I got on him because you can't make those excuses. And then she said some other choice words that, sometimes we get as African American moms, we get a little over. She was like, because I'll punch him in the chest and I'll throw him across the room. I go, oh, wait a minute now. But he like 6'4". She was like, I need to let him know the education comes first, because I guarantee you, if it has something to do with his game, it's going to be make sure it was completed. So, and then that was a lesson for him not to turn it back on me. So what parents can be better advocates for their children is to hold their children accountable. Because you was in school, there were deadlines. Don't always be so mad at the teacher. So just like Stacie said, her grandma was a teacher. Back in the day, teachers were revered. They were a noble profession. Like everybody, whenever they said was what was true. And parents didn't question the teacher. Now parents seem to question the teacher, and the teacher's out to get them. And that's not true. So I just say, and I want Stacie to chime in, but to be better advocates is to work with the teachers, be partners with the school. Also, do not, when your teacher is calling you about something, not to like pick on your child. It's to better your child, because if I didn't call this parent, that kind of meant I didn't really care that much about him. But when I'm calling you, it's because I care now, because that was my lunchtime. That was my 30 minutes of free time, And we will say it's not 30 minutes free time because it takes them 5 minutes to leave. Then they knocking on your door for something. I'm trying to warm up my little soup. So it's, it's those things. Make it a partnership. So Stacie, I want to hear from you, because, how do you think parents can be better advocates for their children?
I agree with everything you said. Parents can also, as Nakeisha said, the teacher is looking out for your child. We're not making up things for no reason. We're not trying to pick. A lot of parents will say, oh, you're just picking on my kid. I don't have time to pick on kids. Why would I want to do that? No, I'm trying to help you. So most of the time, coming from a good place. And if you listen and not think I think some parents think that we're judging them if we tell them about their kid. Right. I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you about your kid.
Because my mom, go ahead, Shavonti, go ahead. What you were saying?
Oh no, I was agreeing with Miss Stacie. Parents get very defensive when you're trying to just explain to them, hey, this is what little Timmy did today. I don't know why he did that. Maybe it could be, did something happen? Oh, he didn't do that. He don't do that. And it's like,
but But don't you remember your mom? Because my mom said, don't let the school call me. Because my mom was always on the school side. Because my mom always believed that I was a different child when I wasn't around her. So she's going to believe outside people. Because why would they pick on you? What do they have to lose? Like I always tell my students, I don't need to be your friend. I don't need a high school, middle school friend. I'm trying to make the best of you. So my mom would be like, if that school call me, I'm taking their side every time. But it's like our parents nowadays are like you said, I think Stacie, like they think we're judging them and we're not. We're just trying to correct the problem, because if me and you can't work together, then I got to get the assistant principal and the dean involved. Now that kid's going to get written up. Then that kid's going to be in ISS. They're going to miss more work and they're not going to be successful. So it's not that we're trying to, come at them. We just want to help them and be a partner in this relationship, because it is a relationship, because I have your child during the day. I want the best for them, but I need you to help me with that. So
yeah, I feel like too, another thing, something me and my sister-in-law talked about, she read an article that nowadays in this new era of parenting, parents are so worried about being liked by their kids, their friends. And it's kind of trickled over into education. If little Timmy doesn't want to do his trigonometry homework, well, baby, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's turned into that society because they don't want to create, discourse at home because they're already dealing with X, Y, and Z. I want little Timmy to be relaxed and be okay. So that's something else I think that some parents may be dealing with, that whole wanting to be liked by their child.
Yeah, which is, that's never been my mom's look at it. So. And I do want to say another comment that someone said, and she said, it won't let me, hold on. Well, she said, it's Shalise Patrice Miller. She said, I had an amazing school experience. I went the gifted AP route and was involved in every academic club possible. I swear that was me. As a current 7th grade teacher, I realized how blessed I was because everyone didn't experience the good side of education. Yes, and that's why we said we just didn't want this because it's the dark side, but we did want to highlight the good side as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Sharice also said, I hate how much we have to test them. And Stacie, we know about this. And even Shavonti, you just talked about your engineering test. Like you didn't pass it. But just think as an adult how you felt when you didn't pass it. So could you imagine students that are in 3rd grade taking this high-stake test and not passing it? So, yeah, it can be, a bit much. So
that's a lot.
Yeah. Yep. And then Shalise said also, differentiate is the key. What are some simple ways to differentiate for all level represented in the class setting? So, Stacie, I'm going to put that on you because, you are guest.
That's a good one.
You get to start them off. So, and this is part of the segment that I really want us to get into. How can we improve the educational system? So these questions really segue into that of what some of the ways like parent involvement, making sure they're not tracked, or appropriately tracked. So how do you differentiate as well?
Well, you could set up like strategic groupings in the class, heterogeneous groupings. So all the kids who are struggling, you're not going to put them all in the same group. You're going to mix that group up. So, we can kind of get a mix of ideas. That's one thing. Also, different accommodations. Some students, if you give them a paper with a bunch of words and they don't know how to read, for example, so maybe just give them one paragraph, make certain accommodations, or one student may need a calculator. Just ways to help individual students. You can differentiate the way you give questions, and also partner talk with students where they're talking to their partners. And then, so if a student, is struggling, have the class talk to their partners first and then call on that student so they can get a right answer because they've already discussed it. So way to build self-esteem, but to differentiate the curriculum as well.
Right. And then I'll say this too. I had a student today. Well, I did. I teach one physical science class, but there's a lot of math involved. And so I want the kids to come up and actually do the problems. And so I show them how to do the problems the first day, you know, I do. But then when it's time for we do, I put like 4 numbers on the board and I said, you pick a problem that you feel comfortable doing. So you're still participating, but I let you work it out on your paper first. And then I said, you can even show me your answer so you make sure you get it right. And then go up to the board. So I'm not like, I got you, like get on the board or you know, so it builds confidence and stuff because I still want you to participate, but I'm giving you some choice involved. So that's another way I differentiate. And then that is one of my tougher classes because it's not the honors senior class that I have, the project based. This is actually like, you guys are gonna get this quarter exam on Monday. You need to know this. But they shocked me because my expectation was they ain't gonna be able to do this. And they were like, acceleration equals VF minus V. And I'm like, but I let them have that chance to build their confidence instead of trying to put that I got you on there. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
That's so awesome. Great question, great answers, ladies.
Yeah. So that was part of our segment of improving the educational system. I just want to give Stacie her due time about giving it some more pointers that you may have on how would you improve the educational system, because you walked away from it, but you're still shining light on it. So talk about that in this segment. So this is all you, Stacie.
I mean, other than what I said, providing schools with professionals, mental health professionals would help a lot. Also, PDs for teacher professional developments that are, if you have pediatricians come in, have a pediatrician come in and talk to me about the effects of trauma on the brain and how that affects certain kids, because I'm seeing these issues in the classroom and I'm not a scientist. I'm not a therapist. I have a psychology background. And so I don't know how to deal with the kids. And so I think if we had PDs with pediatricians to come, also have people from schools, professors from schools of education to give teachers that the research, what does the research say? And then those professors can hear real life experiences from the teachers and we can tell them, oh, well, yeah, I see that in the classroom, or no, I don't, or, your research is wrong, your research is right. Have a dialogue with the teachers. So I think those professionals outside of education need to come to school somehow and work with the teachers. And then also I think PDs on self-care for teachers, because, most of our PDs are on curriculum and test, data, test scores. But if we don't take care of ourselves, one, you're not going to have teachers in the classroom. And two, the teachers are going to be too burned out. But if you take care of the teachers, we're going to do what's right for the kids. The majority of us are. So help the teachers. Teach us how to help ourselves.
Like a wellness program, really, for teachers.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like that.
And I'll say too, and Stacie, by you being in the classroom, and even Shavonti, you could think about as a teacher or as an employee, when your supervisor is very supportive and understands what you're going through, and they offer those extra resources. Because I had one principal, when we had professional development days, they had a massage therapist come in and give us back rubs, and we had like a spa day. Those little things help because, and so when you have a supportive supervisor or a supportive principal, that helps the teacher be able to feel like I'm valued as a professional, and you understand what I'm going through. And so I don't mind giving that extra mile. I don't mind going over and above. But if you have some of those supervisors or principals that's like nitpicky about everything and come in your class for a gotcha, you're not doing this, and instead of being like, oh, I saw you doing this, or the kids told me this, that's what's going to make it better in the classroom. So yes, definitely.
I love that.
Yeah. So Stacie, we're coming to our last question. I know your future goals and I spelled next steps wrong, so I'm not going to even show that. I'm going to write it again. But your future goals, because you are doing some amazing work with film, and I want to know, because I'm trying to see how can I audition, like how can I be in there, because I have a lot of experience. So I want to know, what are your future goals, and what, when you have this actual platform, what are you going to do with it?
Well, it's to raise awareness about what teachers are going through in the classroom, how our education is at some of our schools. And so I guess the purpose behind it is ultimately education reform. But yes, all my films the plan is to have a lot of films all about education issues. And the one that I am working on now, I started it in March, and I've just now finished the first rough draft. I'm working with the screenwriting coach. So it's my first one. But I still, I'm going through a lot of edits. But thank you.
Yes.
But is the main character. A Black female teacher is the main character.
And like myself.
I know. Well, trust me, writing it was very therapeutic. Trust me. But yeah, it just goes through her journey and issues with the kids, issues with the principal, issues with the parents, just to bring light to what's going on.
I love it. I love it so much.
So,
and
okay, go ahead. That's all I was saying, because I want to know what else, like when we can expect it, what else you need, like how can I be a part of it? I need to know all the goodies.
Well, I was also thinking recently to develop maybe some kind of writer's room. So I was thinking of doing a web series as well, and to have a writer's room with other educators like yourselves, where we could, so think of a Queen Sugar. This would be like a web series for education. I mean, a series for education, and you have a writer's room and you have other educators, to the script.
I love that. That's a great idea to, again, bring our community together, because even though I'm not a teacher by degree, I'm a teacher by...
Yes, you are.
Well, let's talk about that real quick, little Shavonti. You're doing workshops and different things, so that's still teaching. So
That's still teaching. I have a coding class to do next week, and I haven't coded in years, but it's gonna go great. It's gonna go great. But yeah, it's like bringing the community, shedding light on minorities in the teaching field. I feel like a lot of times we get discouraged because either we know how we were as students, or we don't want to work at the urban school because they're just going to be bad and ghetto. And we got to get rid of that narrative. We have to. If we don't go into these schools and show them how you're supposed to act and what you can be, then it's never going to change. So I love that idea, to bring us all together and give more ideas. I love that.
So Stacie, how because I did put on there how they can reach you. So I'm gonna put you solo so we can put your stuff back up there. So they can reach you through IG, Facebook, and Twitter at Stacie McClam. And then you have your own website named after you. I see you, honey. Brand you, yes. StacieMcClam.com. And then you also have, your School Dismissed and your book. So to get your feature film out and stuff, what else do you need, or like how far in the process are you, and what can we do to help?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know, Hollywood, it requires a lot of money to make a film, and I don't know why. And so I'm trying to think of ways. Well, one, I'm applying to a lot of different grants, film grants and foundations that have resources. So like there's one on Twitter and Instagram that I follow, Felicia Pride. She's a writer for Queen Sugar, but she posts, if you get on her listserv, she posts weekly a lot of different film grants and film ways to make money. But even with the Screen Actors Guild, a budget film is like, so they have different levels of budget films. The lowest is like micro budget, and it's still, I don't know, $100,000 or something. And I'm just like, wow, why does it have to cost that much? So I'm on a mission to make a quality film. Hey, Nyla!
She was hi. She couldn't hold me. All right, bye.
She's going to show her.
Yes, you are.
Her beautiful, smart face. But yeah, so there's different organizations you can apply to that have contests and fellowships for money. So I'm doing those. Hopefully something comes through. If not, I'll just have to save on my own and maybe put out funding.
Letters. Hey, Tyler Perry just opened that new studio.
I know.
This is a very important film that needs to be made. So yeah.
And really quick, I did change my social media, so it's not at Stacie McClam anymore. It's at Educator Film Law.
Oh, it's like your name. Okay, let me put that on there real quick. Educator Film Law.
Yeah.
Okay, and it'll show now. There you go. Educator Film Law. Okay. So guys, make sure, because we're gonna have to close this out. We can talk. Oh, okay. So we can talk forever, but I know we was trying to keep it to 30 minutes, but when it's something as passionate as this, and we definitely got to get Educator Film Law back on here. But we just want to say thank you guys. This is something that's near and dear to our hearts, because I truly feel that everyone is an educator. You're teaching someone, whether you're at a job, training someone, you're a mom, you're raising kids, you're training them. If you have professional training as a teacher, or you went for your teaching license, but like, I'm gonna stick on my mechanical engineer, but I'm doing teaching workshops and stuff. It is there. So we definitely need to make sure that we're getting the word out there. And so one of the ways is check us out at nyladenae.com. We have special programs. We're more for the younger kids, what are like our pre-K to 4th grade right now. But then you can also check us out at Systematic Motivation. And so we have both of them going on the scroll. And don't forget Educator Film Law. So we just want to thank everyone for coming out to 2 Cent Tuesdays. And the reason why it's called 2 Cent Tuesdays is because we're giving our 2 cents. But we have a lot of education behind it. So I thought that was a cute little ring for 2 Cent Tuesday. And so I just want to give everyone a chance to say, you know, I always say this is your, like if you was getting an Oscar speech or your shout out to help you to this point, and different things that you want people to know, so we can continue to really talk about this and delve into, even though it was the dark side of teaching, we want to lift up teachers and encourage them, because you're on the battlefield every day.
Every day.
So we want to encourage you guys to keep going, and we want to keep fighting the fight, even though we may not be in the classroom, which I'm in there now, but I don't know how much longer, but we want to continue the fight. So Stacie, we're going to go with you. This is like your Oscar speech, and just say anything else you want to say before we sign off.
I just want to say the same thing that you said. Teachers, keep up the good work. Put yourself first. And I think I'm hopeful that we can see a better future in this country with the education system.
Yes, great. All right, Shavonti, what about you? What's your lasting thoughts?
My lasting thoughts are thank you, ladies, so much for this amazing platform, Nakeisha and Stacie. Both of you ladies motivate me so much. I'm so proud of both of you individually. I'm so glad that we're doing this, because it's bringing light on things that I didn't know about education, and I'm hoping to take that knowledge and to pay it forward and do a better job and help kids. So thankful. Thank you to my best friends, Shalisa and Taylor, my dad, who are joining the live. Thank y'all so much.
And I want to say thank you, ladies, as well, because you don't know, this has been in my spirit for like almost 2 years. And I kept saying 2 Cent Tuesdays, 2 Cent Tuesday. It just had a ring. And I said, I really wanted to get educators and parents and those that are just can talk about the education system, and then come up with real ideas, real strategies, and to educate those that are coming up behind us, that we can't just talk about what you don't know, what these parents these days are not doing. We need to educate. It's educate. So I thank my wonderful co-host, my little sister now. We're like bonded, Shavonti. Yes. And I think this was a great first episode. And I want to thank the incomparable Stacie McClam, that's doing wonderful things. Even though she stepped out of teaching on the classroom forefront, she's going to bring in a bigger light that's going to shed. And we're going to prophesize out there. It's going to be bigger than Dangerous Minds and Lean on Me. Her feature film is going to be the next big thing, and I'm going to have a guest role in it, because I'm putting that out there, and it's going to be awesome. So, ladies, thank you. We want to tell our guests once again, thank you for joining us, and we want to tell our audience, guys, please tune in next Tuesday at 6:30. We have a math teacher who she was a CPA, and then she went into teaching, and she's a good friend of mine. I'm gonna shout her out, and I'm trying not to cry. Tangelica Duplessis, because we both had lost someone, one of our favorite students today. And when you're educated, it hurts because they feel like you're a kid. And with Lamont Day, I just want to say rest in peace. We sat there and we got him through to get his diploma, but he couldn't get over that hump. The streets took him under, and we just want to say we love him. And I want to just send out hugs and kisses because she's going to be here next week. But it's just hard when you lose someone that you've been working really hard. She was still in contact with him, and he was talking about going to junior college and doing different things, and just to see a young man's dreams. And we know that we have to support our kids because they're out here fighting fights that we didn't have to fight. They're fighting demons that we didn't have. And so we're just sending prayers and love out, and love and light out to those that have lost someone. I know, Shavonti, you lost someone special today. So, and we still showed up today. And so I just thank you, ladies, because life is hard right now, but we got to keep shining light and being that light that the world seeks. So I just want to thank you guys for 2 Cent Tuesdays. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, tune in next week, guys. Now, you ladies stay on. I'm going to end the broadcast, but just tell everybody bye. Thank you.
Bye. 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 Bye.